I would say 99% of electric car owners and Tesla EV owners today have owned petrol and diesel cars in their lifetime. So it's fair to me to say that we've all been there. I also think that switching to a Tesla Model 3 or any other EV for that matter does not need to be exclusively for environmental purposes or to help against pollution/climate change. I know that isn't nearly enough of a reason to buy one car over another for some people. In fact, I think to really convince the masses that are hesitant today, possibly like yourself, just me talking about the ownership experience and comparing it purely on a car versus car level is what will gain the most interest and engagement on why they should also possibly consider switching. I've said it before, and I know for a fact that some people will just never be sold on electric cars, no matter how much development and progress that we witness before our very eyes. That's okay for me because this video is for those people that are genuinely interested in buying a new car shortly. Maybe you're not fully convinced by going down the Tesla EV route yet, or maybe you're just trying to work out why your friends or your colleagues are starting to make the switch. Getting to the point, this is my short video on why you should probably consider a Tesla EV. Tesla EVs, like the Model 3 and Model Y, are literally the hottest cars to own in 2023. As the Tesla Model Y just became the best-selling car of 2023, and that's a serious feat when you think of it, for which you will now see why it's so goddamn convincing in this very video. So before I get into the reasons why now may be your time to consider it too, I'd appreciate if you could just give me a little cheeky like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Right then folks, let's get straight into the swing of it. Let's kickstart with potentially the most controversial reason to move to an EV. Brace yourself. Charging a Tesla Model 3 is way more convenient than refueling a fossil-fueled car. Why is that, Adam? Well, I never have to drive away from my charger. In the UK, over 2/3 of the nation have access to off-road parking, and so charging from home is as easy as charging your phone. Plug in before you go to sleep and wake up fully recharged. Quite literally, in this instance. I still remember the alternative. I'd wait just before the fuel light would light up, then get fuel before work, which then meant getting up early or even going after work, which would then ultimately delay my return home. Which honestly isn't really an issue until you realise that there is an easier way. Once you've experienced that convenience and realised that charging could cost less than a pint at your local pub, yes, it's true, but really I hope that this single fact just triggers a slight intrigue into knowing just a little bit more, so stick with me, the best is yet to come. Now, putting myself in the shoes of a hesitant buyer, if you understand that home charging convenience, range is still going to be an issue, isn't it, Adam? Well, this should actually be split into two different questions. That being, how much do you typically drive in a day? And how often do you complete round journeys of over, say, 350 miles? That question is very personal, and so only you can ultimately answer that question. But for me and my wife, this is our sole family car. And we complete probably just over the average annual mileage here in the UK, but whether you're from sunny Florida or rainy central Britain, typical annual mileage varies dramatically. Annual mileage is just over 13,000 miles in the US, which is a hell of a lot more than the UK. And even so, to answer the first question on typical daily mileage, that's around 35 miles a day driving. Even if we doubled it to 70 miles, most will typically end up back home to replenish that difference, for which would take you just an hour with a 7 kilowatt home charger to replenish 35 miles in a rear-wheel drive Model 3. Therefore, typical driving for most people is easily replenished with home charging, but we still have to tackle the second elephant in the room, that being those longer road trips of say 350 miles. The base Model 3 is rated to do 300 miles, and my Model 3 of almost 3 years old is rated to do 263 miles. Now for me, in the past year, I used the supercharging network just 2% of the time. Therefore, it's very rare for me to need to use the supercharger network. However, thinking outside my own bubble here, if you are one that needs range, you can get a Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive that does 385 miles of range and can charge 172 miles in 15 minutes. That's effectively a quick wee and back to get a total rated range of 557 miles. That is very much the range of a similar petrol car on paper, and so it's more convenient than what you think, and I just implore you to look into it yourself. But keep watching, there's a lot more to come. Moving to buying costs, and oh my, the times have changed over the past few years. Since the beginning of 2023, Tesla made the bold decision to cut prices of its vehicles, and this resulted in thousands being trimmed off the retail prices of its vehicles. Even in the UK, we now have 0% APR on the Tesla Model 3. And if you're warm on the subject, take a look at the video on the screen now if you want to understand how to maximise that deal and why. But Adam, getting back on track, is the Model 3 cheaper to buy than a rival German petrol-powered saloon? Well, did you know a Tesla Model 3 is now cheaper to buy than a Mercedes C-Class here in the UK and the US? It's not just the C-Class, but my point is actually do your own comparison against that petrol car that you might want to buy. The tides have changed on the upfront pricing, and we've not even considered the running and maintenance costs, for which is no better way to explain it than literally having your cake and eating it. Even if you're in the market for a 1 to 2 year old Tesla EV, these recent developments have made buying a used Tesla up front so much easier, and it has opened up the door to new and potential buyers once again. Now, to touch on maintenance and the cost of ownership before my final thoughts for you, I can't say this more bluntly because this is literally advised by the car manufacturer, obviously being Tesla here. You know those awkward annual service visits that you make in your petrol and diesel car, even if there's nothing wrong with your car? Well, that's a thing you used to do with a petrol car if you owned a Tesla Model 3 or Tesla Model Y. And that's because the fundamentals of an electric car, designed purely to be an electric car, has a ground up advantage, and that feeds into the confidence in the reliability of the vehicle. It's made up of thousands of less parts, and so with fewer mechanical breakpoints. That's fewer friction between components, less wear and tear, and so less time in the garage and more time on the road. Tesla are so confident in the reliability of its vehicles that they insist on servicing on an as-needed basis. There is a small list of items of service recommendations you can do from home, such as topping up your washer fluid and swapping your cabin filters. But crucially, you only need to rely upon service should you notice a difference or a failure occurring. Even then, most maintenance and repairs can be done wherever you're parked, thanks to Tesla's mobile service. All it takes is a simple appointment made via your Tesla app on your smartphone, and a mobile technician will come out to you and attempt to fix said issue. This is a new way to see servicing and maintenance for your vehicle, and that transpires into vastly lower servicing costs, and even stuff like brake pads wear down considerably less because regenerative braking does not rely on the brake pads themselves, so those brake pads could last more like 100,000 miles as a result. It's not just lower servicing costs, be prepared for a whole different experience when it comes to refueling costs, to recharging costs too. I had previously calculated that it would cost £147.54 to cover 10,000 miles on my EV home charging tariff. Details on that tariff can be found in the description of the video. To complete the same 10,000 miles in a BMW 3 Series on average fuel prices, you'd pay £1,610 for that pleasure. The figures truly speak for themselves. The cost difference is simply indefensible for ongoing running costs. So let's round this thing up. I just detailed 4 reasons why now may be the time to start considering a Tesla Model 3 over another new petrol vehicle. However, did you notice there's 2 common themes between these 4 reasons? That being convenience and cost. Naturally, there were more niche topics that we could have covered, but these 4 reasons alone I think will help steer the direction on why fundamentally, on a car versus car level, why the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y are a new generation of car ownership, completely different to what you're used to. That is what makes it attractive over another stint with a petrol car. Now, if this video has whet your appetite in any way, you'll probably be interested in this video in the top right hand side now of the screen. So what did you guys think? Are you planning on saying goodbye to your petrol car over the next couple of years? And if so, I'd love to know what's convinced you. Or if you're still on the sidelines, and if so, what is holding you back? If you're not sure what to comment and you just want to show me that you got this far in the video, you could simply comment the Tesla cake and I'll give you a cheeky thumbs up for the support. If you've not done so already, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video with your friends and family, or any other groups that you think may find it beneficial. As always, you folks have been great, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.